I want you to imagine you're at a playground and you see a little boy. He's 4 years old. Let's call him Tommy. And Tommy slips and falls and scrapes his knee. We all know what happens next. He looks down at his knee. He sees this red stuff coming out. Maybe it's the first time he's ever hurt himself like this, and he screams. He thinks it's the end of the world. It's horrible. It's awful. He thinks absolutely nothing good is going to come from this, and he's afraid, so he screams. So mommy and daddy come over and they comfort him, and mommy takes out her Band-Aid and fixes him up. And after a few minutes, he's not screaming anymore, at least, but he's still kind of whimpering. After a few more minutes, he stops crying and he looks over at the playground and he sees everybody else over there playing and having fun, and he's wondering, why am I still here in mommy's lap? So he gets up, he runs back over to the playground. A few minutes after that, mommy goes over to the playground and sees little Tommy and says, "Tommy, are you okay? How is your knee doing? Are you fine?" Tommy gets up, zooms past him with his arms out and says, "I'm Batman." And he totally forgets that he had a cut knee. It's not even in his mind anymore. He's having fun. It's like it never happened. So when we fall down and scrape our knee, why is it that we don't freak out and scream and think it's the end of the world? It's because we know that a cut knee or a little injury like that is going to heal. It'll hurt for a while, but it'll heal. And in the scope of our whole life, it doesn't really affect us at all. And that is what we call perspective. And God shares some verses with us that he wants to give us perspective in our life. I want to take you to a passage in 2 Corinthians 4, where Paul says that our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us a glory that far outweighs them all, a glory that far outweighs all of our troubles and trials and tribulations and all the horrible things that are going on in our lives. This is perspective. To understand that our trials and troubles now are going to be far outweighed by the glory in heaven. Let me show you a visual example of what perspective looks like. Here I have a timeline that I've set out, and each inch represents 100 years. And this right here is going to represent your life. Your life is now 7/8 of an inch long, representing about 87 years.
Oh.
And for those of us who have trusted Christ as our Savior, we know that once we die, we go to be with Christ in heaven. Now, how long does that last? Let's find out. Let's look at our timeline. How far does that go? Now, we've already reached 200 years. That's already twice as long as we've lived on Earth. And we still keep going. 400 years, 4 times longer than we have lived on Earth in just this short section. We keep going, 1,000 years later, and we keep going. We have 2,000. Now we're up to 10,000 years. All right, now we're at 25,000 years that we've been in heaven. That's 250 times longer than we have lived our whole life. Now, let's look back this way and see what we can see on our timeline. This is what we call perspective. We can't even see where our life was. And this is only 25,000 years in heaven. Let me simplify it even more. This is a skinned knee. And this is playing on the playground. So my faith challenge to you is for you to consider every difficulty in your life as just a skinned knee in comparison to eternity. I hope this has encouraged you.